Yeah, I don't know what happened to it because I mean, I run every morning and there's no one around when I run. And I ran a little faster on Monday morning.
Well, now you'll run a lot faster.
Yeah, I saw lots of pictures from Julie. I couldn't believe how close up some of the pictures she had was.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was, you know, right up in her tree.
Okay, we are live streaming and recording, and it is after 6:30. We have quorums for both commissions. I am going to start if nobody has an objection. Okay, so thank you for joining the City of Kingston Heritage Area Commission and Historic Landmark Preservation Commission for a joint monthly meeting of each respective commission. Today is Thursday, May 6th, 2021. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the planning director and the organizer for our virtual meeting. Before we begin our meeting, we would like to go over a few meeting guidelines to help navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and the press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As the organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Commission members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a commissioner or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hand. As the organizer, I will call on them before they speak by stating their name clearly for our audio listeners and transcript recording. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city website at a later date. Also note this meeting is being live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. In lieu of public speaking during the monthly meeting, we requested all comments to be received by 2 p.m. on Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. Comments were to have been emailed to J. Edelson Safford at kingston-ny.gov, hand-delivered or placed in regular mail or in the Dropbox at City Hall. There was one comment received by Lynn Woods, and it has been posted on the agenda on the website. All meeting materials, applications, supporting documentation, written comments may be found on the city website by going to www.kingston-ny.gov, and on the homepage, scroll down to the bottom under meetings where you see the joint meeting posted. Click the link for the agenda and you will find a universal hyperlink for all information. If at any time you have an audio issue, please send a text message to the following number, 845-443-0416. I will repeat the number again, but be aware that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number again to text is 845-443-0416. As the organizer for today's meeting, I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately or to enter into attorney-client conference if needed. On behalf of the commission, I wish to thank everyone for their continued patience during this unique time and wish you and your family good health. I now call the meeting to order at 6:36 p.m. and I will turn the floor over to Chairman Hayes Clement for the HAC, who will be followed by Chairman Mark Grumblatt to introduce their respective commissions. Thank you.
Excuse me, sorry. May I interrupt? It's Julie.
Yes.
I think I heard you say that there was a comment posted from Linwood. There was a communication from Linwood, but that wasn't posted on the website. The comment posted on the website was from Marissa Marvelli and Giovanna Regini.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Julie. I'm Hayes Clement. I'm chairman of the City of Kingston Heritage Area Commission. I'm going to call the roll of Heritage Area Commission members. Again, I'm Hayes Clement, present. Dean Barnes.
Present.
Kevin McAvoy.
Present.
Michael Del Priore.
Present.
Bonnie Howland. I'll note her as absent. And Abigail Robin. I'll note her as absent. Our first order of business on the Heritage Area Commission is adoption of the minutes of our April 1st, 2021 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Do I hear a motion to adopt as presented the minutes of the April 1st, 2021 meeting?
Dean Barnes, so moved.
Dean Barnes, so moved. Do I hear a second?
Mike, second.
Michael Del Priore, second. Motion on the floor. Any questions or issues to raise? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote yes. Dean Barnes.
Yes.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The minutes of April 1st, 2021 are approved. Do you want us to keep going, Sue, or now we switch back to?
Now we'll turn this now over to Mark, if you would introduce your commission and do your minute adoption.
Good evening, all. I'm Mark Grunblatt. I chair Historic Landmark Preservation Commission. I'm going to call the roll for HLPC. Hayes Clement.
Here.
Peter DeMuth.
Present.
Kevin McAvoy.
Present.
Andrea Putz. Note the absence, please. And Robert Tonner.
Here.
All right. Our first order of business is also adoption of minutes from April 1st at our joint meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Excellent. I will entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
Hayes Clement, so moved.
Thank you, Hayes. Do I hear a second?
Robert Tonner, second.
Thank you, Robert. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Hayes Clement.
Aye.
Peter DeMuth.
I have to recuse myself because I was absent from that meeting.
Thank you. Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Robert Tonner.
Aye.
And I also vote in the affirmative. The ayes have it. So we'll carry forward into new business. Hayes, I think you're first up on this.
Okay. First order of business is an application from the owners of 237 Fair Street. New signage for Nacarado Insurance, one double-sided 42-inch by 71-inch hanging sign of heavy-density urethane sign foam. Nacarado Insurance applicant, Kevin and Mary Ann DeGroot, owners of the building. Is anyone here present to speak to this proposal?
John Scosa from Designer Signs.
Thanks, John. Can you walk us through what you plan to do?
Sure, it's a double-sided hand-carved gold leaf sign that will hang off of a pole bracket and have a gooseneck lighting on each side. You should see, do you have pictures of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically you showed us an existing posted sign, 2 posts. It's going to be that sign, but hanging.
Hanging. Correct.
Okay. So we see it also, there's a rendition of it on above the door of the building. Has everyone on the Heritage Area Commission had a chance to look at that?
Mhm.
Sue or Julie, are there any issues that the professional staff in the planning department sees?
We have referred this to the zoning code officer just to do a review on the on the sign size. But the lighting, they did submit a detail on the lighting for the gooseneck lighting that they intend to install, and I think it looks fairly well, nicely done.
But you're saying the sign is too large, or?
It's going to be a determination of the zoning enforcement officer. We've talked to him about it. He was going to look at it.
So what can the 2 commissions do in the interim?
I think you can approve it, and then it'll be based on his determination of the procedure.
Yeah, they need a variance. That's it.
Okay, so we would approve it contingent on zoning approval, zoning code officer approval or variance. Does anyone on the Heritage Area Commission have any questions of John about the sign or issues to raise?
Sorry, Hayes, it's Julie again. Just wanted to mention that it needs additional insurance because it's an overhanging sign.
Does anyone have a questions of John or issues with the sign? Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under seeker?
Motion?
Motion by Kevin McAvoy. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Barnes.
Second by Michael Del Priore. Any debate or discussion of that proposal? Hearing none, I will call for the vote to declare this a type 2 action under seeker. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Second, do I hear a motion to approve the sign installation as presented, contingent on the approval of a zoning variance and contingent on the owners of the building naming the city of Kingston as additionally insured?
Motion?
Yeah.
Motion by Kevin McAvoy. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Mike.
Second by Michael Del Priore. There's now a motion on the floor. Any further debate or discussion of it?
Do we have to include the, oh, we included variance. We have to include the zoning enforcement officer as well?
I think that's what I meant. Yeah.
That would be part of that, Kevin.
Okay, but okay, just wanted to clarify. So, yeah, okay, then, yeah, I'm good.
Any further questions? Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you to the board.
Now, do we need to go back to, are we going to go switch to HLPC?
Yes. Yes. So Mark, you want to take this one?
Sure. I will first ask if anyone on the Historic Landmark Preservation Commission has any additional questions for Mr. Scosa. All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Hayes Clement, so moved.
A second?
Robert Tonner, second.
Thank you. I'll call the roll. Hayes, Clement. Peter DeMuth,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy,
Aye.
Robert Tonner.
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. All right. Anyone have any questions regarding these zoning open issue that the applicant is going to have to clear with the city?
So that's just basically because it's practically 6 feet long, the size of it.
Square footage. It's the area.
It's beyond the requirement. They're either going to have to,
I guess.
I'm not sure if there's a grandfather argument on this or not. I doubt it, but.
That's the question being looked into right now.
Right, so it's going, from my understanding, it's got two possibilities. One, it may be approvable by the zoning officer, or if the zoning officer says it's not approvable, it's going to have to go for a variance with the ZBA. All right, so our decision is limited to approval on the design. We don't get final word on the size. Yes, Peter?
I mean, I was just wondering if they've considered having a smaller sign so they don't have to go through those.
They
hurdles.
could. That's what the zoning officer but if it ends up that's his interpretation, yes.
Oh, okay. So we're just voting on the.
We're voting on it as submitted. Does it meet our design standards for the historic district?
Well, design would also include size, though.
Yes, it would. Do we find the size to be out of proportion for the district? could be a rationale, but it is not necessarily, we don't have final say over the precise size. That's another office. Is that clear to everyone?
It's clear to me.
Okay. And you may be the most important, Mr. Scosa. All right. Then, having declared it a type 2 action under seeker, I would move that the commissioners present find as fact that the proposed new sign at 237 Fair Street in the Fair Street Historic District by applicant Nacarado Insurance Agency, Inc., and owner K&M Enterprises, LLC, if done according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in section 405-64 of Kingston's Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building and the district for the following reasons. The proposed signage will involve one double-sided 42-inch by 71-inch hanging sign of heavy density urethane sign foam. It will have a sandblasted wood grain texture background painted with V-carved and gold leaf letters. Color scheme will be black, burgundy, and gold. Sign to be supported by internal aluminum frame hung from brackets to a 8-foot by 3-inch diameter black pole. Signage will be lit by black LED gooseneck fixtures welded to each side of the pole, hanging centered above the main entrance. That this signage will cause a material change to the external appearance of the property, that the signage will not detract from the character of the historic district or the building, that any changes or additions to the signage specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to the work being carried out, that this commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division and any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on the 6th day of May, 2021, this commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for the work as described herein and in its application to the commission. Such notice to be subject to the conditions contained in this foregoing motion and to the applicant obtaining insurance, naming the city as an additional insured in respect to the overhang as required by section 358-9 of the city's administrative code. Do I have a second?
Hayes Clement, second.
Any further discussion by HLPC members? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Hayes Clement.
Aye.
Peter DeMuth.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy. Oop, you're muted, Kevin.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Tonner.
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Back to you, Hayes.
Next item of business concerns 295 Wall Street, a proposal for new facade paint and an awning logo for Coco Lab storefront to match the colors of the other storefronts of the Claremont building, Benjamin Moore Hamilton blue, exterior white. The applicants are Eric Federico Friedman and Josh Orlinski, owner. Are either gentleman here to present? I see Eric.
Yes, I'm here.
Has everyone had a chance to look at the application? And Eric, can you tell us a little more?
Absolutely. So in the application, there is also a digital rendition of what the changes would look like. In actuality, the colors proposed in that rendering are a bit different than what I would like, and also if that makes sense with the board here. But the idea is to bring it back in part to what it's like with the adjacent businesses at the old Duo Market. And the awning in itself is very accurate to what it would look like. So both in color and the writing.
This is the old Dunkin' Donuts space, right?
Correct.
It certainly looks significantly improved from what it was.
Thank you.
It looks
Any-
like there's lighting underneath.
There is some currently in the awning, yes.
Any other questions of the applicants or comments? Sue or Julie, does this pass muster with city code?
Yep. And this will also require the insurance.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under seeker?
So moved.
So moved by Michael Del Priore. Do I hear a second? Second by
Second.
Kevin McAvoy. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Second, do I hear a motion to approve the new facade paint and awning logo at 295 Wall Street as presented?
Dean Barnes, so moved.
Dean Barnes, motion. Do I hear a second?
Mike.
Second.
Second by Kevin McAvoy. Motion on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, Eric. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll turn it over to Mark.
All right, for the Historic Landmark Preservation Commission, do any members have questions for the applicant or the owner? All right, everyone's had a chance to look the application over? All right. I will entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
So moved.
Thank you, Robert. Do I hear a second?
Second, Hayes Clement, second.
Thank you, Hayes. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Hayes Clement,
Aye.
Peter DeMuth,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy,
Aye.
Robert Tonner.
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. All right, on the application itself, are there any clarifications for anyone on HLPC? Any questions for our applicant on that score? All right, then I move that the commission find as fact that the proposed new facade paint and awning logo for 295 Wall Street in the Stockade Historic District by applicant Eric Federico Friedman and owner Josh Orlinsky, if done according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in section 405-64 of Kingston's Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building and the district for the following reasons. That the proposed work will take place on the southernmost storefront of a 4-story commercial Claremont building on the corner of Wall and John Streets, a structure that by most accounts was built in 1878, but may be from an earlier time, as a matching footprint appears in its place on the 1858 J.H. French map of Ulster County. That the proposed work will involve new facade paint and a awning logo for the Cacao Lab. The storefront will match the color scheme of other existing storefronts of the building in Benjamin Moore Hamilton blue and exterior white. That this work will cause a material change in the external appearance of the property, that the new facade will not detract from the character of the historic district or of the building, that any changes or additions to the work specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to the work being carried out, that this commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on the 6th day of May 2021, the commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above named applicant for the work as described herein and in its application to the commission, such notice to be subject to the conditions contained in the foregoing motion, and 2, the applicant obtaining insurance naming the city as an additional insured with respect to the overhang as required by section 358-9 of the city's administrative code. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Clement, second.
Well, I think Kevin squeezed ahead of you, Hayes.
I'll defer if you want. It's not a big deal.
It's all Kevin's.
Any further discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Hayes,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Thank you.
Very good.
All right. Next order of business concerns 325 Wall Street, a proposal for a vinyl window graphic for a Modio real estate office to be 29.5 inches high by 30.5 inches wide, colors to match existing building color, purple green with Arial font at 1 to 4.5 inch letter height. The applicant is Melco Properties LLC and with Alania Amodio as owner. Is there anyone here representing the applicant?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Mike Amodio. I am Eliana's husband.
Thank you, Mike. Want to walk us through what you want to do?
Sure. Thank you for having us tonight. We are proposing a vinyl window graphic to be installed on the exterior face of the glass of the storefront. It's roughly 30 inches by 30 inches in size with a white background and black text. The font size does start out at about 4.5 inches and goes down to about 1 inch. We have purple and green for our logo colors. And like I said, will be installed on the exterior side of the glass.
So does the window coverage is the percentage that the percentage limit is on all of the windows in an office, not just one window, correct?
Right. It's 20%. Yes.
And this conforms?
Yeah.
Anyone have a question or issue with the question about or an issue with this?
I just, you don't plan to put anything on the pike structure itself, just in the window for this business?
Just in the window, my wife may install a hanging sign, maybe in front of the store eventually.
Okay, all right, that will have to come back then. That's why I was just curious.
Does that, if you're going to do a hanging sign, does that limit what you can do with the window frontage, Sue? No.
No, I'm curious, because normally the storefronts do it, they might want both coverages, but I didn't see it in this application. So it's just a curiosity.
Right. It hasn't been designed yet, but when we do it, it will follow the same design as you see this here, and will conform to the size requirements for a hanging sign.
Okay, and that will have to return back to these commissions as well, okay?
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Amodio? Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under seeker?
Dean Barnes, so moved.
So moved by Dean Barnes. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Second by Kevin McAvoy. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
aye.
Do I hear a motion to approve the vinyl window graphic for 325 Wall Street as presented?
So moved. Mike.
Del Priore. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Second by Kevin McAvoy. That motion is on the floor now. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
aye.
The ayes have it from the Heritage Area Commission. I'll turn it back over to Mark.
Thank you, Hayes. Does anyone on historic landmarks have any questions for our applicant? Yes, Robert.
Hi, Mike. I'm looking at the picture here. Did you take over the building from the attorney? Is that right?
So Mr. Spinak, the attorney there, he's owned the building for roughly 40 years. He's actually my father-in-law, so he's my wife's father. So my wife actually took over the building about a year ago. So they actually work on real estate deals together. So they'll both be operating there out of the first floor.
Okay, so his sign will remain?
His current sign, I believe on the exterior wall will remain. He originally had a hanging sign as well, but that has, I believe, been taken down.
Okay, I'm sorry, but which window? Is it the right or left window that this will go?
Yes, so when you're facing the building, this is the window to the right, all the way to the right.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from HLPC members? All right, I'll entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Hayes Clement, so moved.
Thank you, Hayes. Peter, was that a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Peter, for the second. I'll call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Evan?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. All right. I move that the commission find as fact that the proposed signage for 325 Wall Street in the Stockade Historic District by applicant Melco Properties LLC and owner Eliana Amodio, if done according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in section 405-64 of the City of Kingston's Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building and the district for the following reasons. That the proposed signage will involve one vinyl window graphic for Amodio Real Estate Office to be 29.5 by 30.5, colors to match the existing building color with purple and green logo using Arial font at 1 inch to 4.5 inch letter height. That this signage will cause a material change to the external appearance of the property, that the signage will not detract from the character of the historic district or the building, that any changes or additions to the signage specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to the work being carried out, that this commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on the 6th day of May 2021, this commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for work as described herein, and in its application to our commission, such notice to be subject to the conditions contained in the foregoing motion. Do I hear a second?
Second?
I think Peter beat you to it.
No problem there.
He was quieter though. I think he was saying something while
I didn't hear you, so I just, yeah. Okay, we're good.
I'll give him the edge on visuals. Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Back to you, Hayes.
Thank you, Mark. Next item of business concerns 76-88 Spring Street, a proposal to add mailboxes for rear units in the front of an existing concrete platform. The owner and applicant is Sabra Nasri. Sabra, are you here?
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to look at the application? Sabra, if you would give us just an overview.
So we have 6 units in the back of the building that currently don't have mailboxes. And the previous owner built this concrete slab on the left-hand side when you're in the front of the building, but they never set up the mailboxes. So we are actually required to do it. I presented 3 options with different colors. I'm not sure what's preferred, but we're happy to go with either one of those. And it would be on a metal bar, I guess, that would be black underneath.
So it's a centered bar, so the whole thing is sort of like a T.
Right.
Okay, and the choices, if not everybody has the application in front of them, are bronze, which is actually sort of brown,
Right.
dark green, and then a brighter gold color, which they're calling sandstone. But it's a unit of 6, just small boxes, non-decorated. Sue, any comments from the planning department on this?
No, I mean, I think the color, it's the choice of the color in the sandy color matches the building better. But I don't know if they have any plans to change the paint on the building. They're all okay. I don't have a preference. But no, I think this is a necessity. So I think this is a good location and a nice choice. It's very simple, clean, neat.
Anybody have a preference on the color?
The sand looks, yeah, like it would go well with the yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone?
We're advisory on this, right? Because okay, because HLPC might, okay.
Anybody have any other questions for the applicant? Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under seeker?
So moved.
So moved by Michael Del Priore. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Kevin McAvoy, second. That motion's on the floor. Do I hear any debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to approve the addition of mailboxes for rear units at 76-88 Spring Street in the applicant's choice of color?
Barnes, so moved.
Motion by Dean Barnes. Do I hear a second?
Mike, second.
Michael Del Priore, second. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Ayes have it for the Heritage Commission. I'll turn it over to Mark.
All right, HLPC members, any questions or comments, particularly concerning colors? We're the binding agency on this one. If we have a strong feeling about one color above the other, it would be a kindness to try to guide our applicant. I heard from HAC a approval on the sand color as seeming to be appropriate. Any commentary on color choices from HLPC members?
Not so much on color choices. Is this the best location for this? How do the people in those units get their mail now?
They currently are required to have PO boxes. So we purchased the building at the end of January, and I suppose the previous owner never dealt with that issue. But we asked the post office if we would be allowed to put them in the back, and they said that it wouldn't work. They were only willing to put the mail in the front of the building.
Was there a reason that they gave?
I think it's just because once the mailman drives on the street, they don't want to have to go all the way around into the parking lot onto
Are they-
the street.
Are they not walking the mail?
I'm not sure, but they said they wouldn't want to go into the back of the building because I agree that it would have made more sense. So that was our first conversation with them. But they required that we put it in the front. So I think that's why the previous owner set up this concrete slab there, but they never finished the work. So
In my
And oh,
experience, the post office is pretty rigid about where they will deliver mail to.
and the rationale behind it, Peter, is usually they try not to go on private property if they can avoid it. They have a long history of lawsuits on private property and access issues. They try and use public sidewalks and public access wherever possible. So I suspect that's the rationale behind it.
It just seems like a very unfortunate spot for this, in my opinion.
Visually,
Yeah. I mean, this is a style of mailbox that I've kind of think of when I look at modern condos, not like historic buildings.
There's a very similar mailbox kiosk right on the corner of my house in front of the Loft buildings. On the
Gotcha.
corner of West Chestnut and Montrepose. Well, it's not on the corner. It's actually in their parking lot.
my point of view on this is, yeah, it's obviously a later addition, and it might as well be obvious that it's not of the same era. And so I guess it troubles me less on that basis. We might as well make it obvious. Any other commentary on placement or design from HLPC?
Only to reiterate what Hayes said, that we're dealing with a different jurisdiction, shall we say, with the U.S. Postal Service. Yeah, I agree. It would be nicer to put it in the back for sure. But it is but that's it. I think what we see is what we're getting.
Any commentary on the color? I think we should be the ones giving some direction to Ms. Nasri. Sand was what HAC seemed to like best. Does anyone on our commission feel strongly about any of the colors? Robert?
Yeah, I think of the three, I like the sand the best too. So unless it was a stainless or something, I don't know. But the sand.
Of the three? Okay. Ms. Nasri, would you object to us specifying the sand color in our resolution?
No.
All right then. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, I'll entertain a motion that we declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
So moved, Hayes Clement.
Thank you, Hayes. A second?
Second, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. I'll call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. All right. So I move that the commissioners present find as fact that the proposed addition of mailboxes for 76-88 Spring Street in the Rondout Historic District by applicant and owner Sabra Nasri, if done according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in section 405-64 of the City of Kingston's Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building in the district for the following reasons. The proposed installation will take place at the Second Empire 2.5-story row house known as Tubby Row, built into a steep hill at the corner of Spring Street and Hone, visible on the 1870 Beers map of Rondout, Kingston, and Wilbur, having been built sometime between the years of 1858 and 1870. That the proposed work will involve the addition of a 6 mailbox kiosk adjacent to the northeasternmost section of the building, closest to the corner of Spring and Hone Streets on a pre-existing dedicated concrete slab to serve the rear apartment units in the sand color as presented by the applicant. That this work will cause a material change to the external appearance of the property, that the kiosk will not detract from the character of the historic district or the building, that any changes or additions to the installation specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to the work being carried out, that this commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on this 6th day of May 2021, this commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for the work as described herein and in its application to the commission, such notice to be subject to the conditions contained in the foregoing motion. Do I have a second?
Second, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Thank you, Ms. Nasri.
Thank you.
Next item of business concerns a roof replacement at 252 Broadway. The proposal would call for new Tamco Heritage shingles in rustic evergreen. Hedvig Marie Stipe is the applicant. Stipe Family Irrevocable Trust is the owner. Is Ms. Stipe, are you here today?
I'm here. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Want to walk us through what you're planning to do?
Well, we need to replace the roof on the house, and the shingles that are up there now are, because we wanted to replace the same ones, but they're not available anymore. As far as I've done some research and have not been able to find them. So this was the next alternative. The color green looks very different, but the roof that's up there now is very faded. When it was originally put on, it was a much darker green.
Any particular reason for the green color? Is it just something you like?
That's what was up there. We just replaced, when we had this roof put on about 35, 40 years ago. And that was the color that was, we liked. It went with the house, the paint of the house.
Any questions from the Heritage Area Commission about this? It does seem very bright to me, but I
think the photograph is taken, I mean, yeah, it looks like almost fluorescent, but it probably isn't. Rustic evergreen, I'm assuming, is a little darker than how these photographs appear.
Probably. The other thing is, all the other roofs in the area are similar to the one we're proposing to put on. Our roof was actually different. It stood out more than the rest of the roofing in the area.
Anyone on the Heritage Area Commission have any particular questions or concerns for the applicant? Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under seeker?
Dean Barnes, so moved.
Moved by Dean Barnes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A second by Kevin McAvoy. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
On the next motion, Sue, is Heritage Advisory on this, or are we the,
Yes, advisory.
okay.
Hmm.
Do I hear a motion to approve the roof replacement as presented with new Tamco Heritage shingles in rustic evergreen?
Dean Barnes, so moved.
Dean Barnes makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Mike, second.
Michael Del Priore makes a second. That motion's now on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
I will turn it over to you, Mark.
Thanks, Hayes. Ms. Stipe, a quick question for you. Did you give a sample of the roof color to the planning department at any point along the way, or to the building department?
Exact sample, I sent the picture.
Okay. So we don't have the,
Physical. No, we don't have a physical piece of.
to look at to compare to the picture. All right. So we're running a bit on supposition. Do you know if anyone else? Yes, Robert.
Yeah, I looked it up on the roofing's website, and the color, the picture I have, it looks like it's turquoise, and the picture on the website, the roofing website, shows a dark green. It's still bright, but it is a dark green. It's not turquoise.
Okay.
That helps though.
Yes, that is important to know, I think.
That is a weird picture. That is a very strange color.
It must be reflecting the sky somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe it was wet. All right. Does anyone else have any questions for our applicant before we start?
I'm looking at the website right now, Tamca's website, and it looks like the shingles are, they're a darker green than the picture of that brick house that they show. That looks like a different color than what the close-up looks like.
Right. Does anyone else want to take a moment to do that bit of research?
Yes.
Mark,
yes.
Mark,
yes, Robert.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry to do this, but have you, Maria, have you thought about, another one of the colors? I mean, they have some beautiful colors there. And the only reason I'm saying that is, this is my Midwestern background. I would never put a green roof on a house because it kind of ties you into color, the color that you're going to paint the house and all this kind of stuff. A more neutral, something like a gray or a mixed gray or something like that. It's just a thought, and it has nothing to do with an approval. But
I'm not tied into any particular color.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think something would look better, I'm open to suggestions. And I don't think it would matter with the roofing company, because they got all of them. So
right.
I mean, it would be hard to say anything without seeing it in person. Seeing with photographs is tough. But does anybody have any suggestions? There were a couple of very nice colors in that style.
All right, let me try and get back to it. I'll take a look on this end.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw a wrench in there, Marie.
No, but this one had survived for 35 years. Everyone's going to have to satisfy themselves that this is going to be consistent as best we can gauge for a similar period of time.
Beautiful house, by the way.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, I like the old English pewter.
Is that the gray one?
Yeah, it's like a mix.
Yeah, that's kind of pretty.
I like that better too.
I would agree.
I also
Right.
like the rustic black, but I like dark roofs.
Oh, there's the pewter. Okay.
Looking here. Old English is not it. Oh, I see. So the title on this one would be pewter?
Old English pewter.
Old, well, we need to be precise. And I think that, well, Ms. Stipe, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't have it in front of me, but as I was looking, I did like the gray. So.
And this is one of them. All right. Boy, it's going to be hard for us to show you. But are you willing to trust our taste, I guess becomes the question.
As I said, I was not tied into the green, only the fact that it was there and we wanted to replace
Yeah.
kind for kind. And
Right. I think all of these on this website have this issue. When you get the close-up, it looks a little different than it does on the brick house. And when that other green got transferred over onto the application, I think there was another hue change with the way it displayed. So
I'm going to try to share a screen and see if I can't.
okay.
Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, there we go.
Hold up. It's this one right here, the Old English. I can't make it larger. It won't large for me, but that's the color right there, Old English pewter. Anybody see it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a little lighter than the first time I looked at it. This is always tricky.
In the applicant tree, can you see it?
yes, I can.
Okay.
A question for roofing in general. Does anyone know will this color over time whether lighter or whether darker? What should we expect over time?
I don't know the answer to that question.
My experience in general is lighter. It's tough to tell what's substrate and what's the sort of pebbly exterior.
That one seems a little light, I guess, to me.
What about the
Rustic slate?
or the weathered wood? What I'm seeing here is a shade or two darker. This is hard without an actual hunk of shingle to look at, but we're doing our best.
I guess the best I could do is try and get some samples and come back next month. I don't know.
Well, we don't want to hold you up. And are you working with a local contractor?
Yeah, Colonial Roofing.
Okay, they've been around a long time. They're likely to have samples available if you ask.
Right.
What do folks think about that? Do we want to come back or do we want to choose one
and guide her toward it based on just years of experience here.
I think we should just give 2 or 3 choices that might be more comfortable with and leave that up to availability and the applicant's own choice.
Interesting point. What do people feel about that?
I'm all for that. I think that it won't hold her up, and it provides input.
All right. The choices that leap out at me would be the weathered wood, the Old English pewter. What else leaps out to anyone else?
I would say the antique slate.
Let me run that.
If you go to Tamco's website, I think you can scroll through.
Yeah. Heritage collection again.
Was that antique slate or rustic?
It says antique slate.
I'm also okay with the rustic black.
Stipe, any preferences?
Mark, Bill Riley has a hand up. I don't know if he has a question.
Oh, I don't see Bill. I'm sorry. Hi.
With Lindsay Roofing.
Hi, Bill.
How's everybody doing?
Have you got some insights for us here?
I was just going to offer up some real quick advice on the shingle colors. There is such a shortage in the industry. Most manufacturers have cut back their shingle quantity, color availability considerably. I'm a licensed applicator with GAF, and they're the world's largest manufacturer of roofing products. They're down to 6 colors from 14, and they've discontinued 6 lines, different profiles. That's what we're up against. So the lady that was looking for the green, you know, if that's available, that's great. The other colors, it's strictly based on availability, and it's tough right now. Some of the lead times on some of these colors are 6 to 8 weeks. That's where it's going. That's not getting better. So if she's got something available and Colonial can get it for her, I wouldn't wait, because it can, you know, we haven't even hit the storm season down south, which is going to draw shingles out of our market. So, and just so you guys know, I've been in this business 34 years in this market in various capacities. One of them was in distribution and work with the manufacturers. And this is by far the worst it has ever been that's been documented. In no time has the roofing business has been this crazy and unstable, with price increases happening right now. About every 30 days, we're taking price increases. The cost of asphalt shingles have gone up about $24 for every 100 square feet in the past 9 months. That's unheard of. It doesn't do that in 10 years. It's done that in 9 months. So just figure I'd give you that type of information, see if that helps.
The point's well taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill,
You
for
guys
that
want to leave it
insight.
up to staff for the color choice?
I think
That
so.
way,
I'm
Ms.
happy.
Stipe can have,
Oh,
can speak
If
to
I
us.
may, one more thing. And it's something that one of the gentlemen had brought up about the colors. Everything you're looking at online in brochures is not the color. The color is usually a little bit darker. They do now the color, the stone itself, it's actually stone. The granulars are stone. They're mined from the ground. So is there some fading over time? Yes, 20, 25 years, there's going to be some noticeable fading, but it is actually Mother Earth on those shingle granulars.
Yeah,
okay.
That's been my experience on the board as well. Typically, it goes lighter rather than darker over time.
Thank you, Bill. And I want to reiterate, I don't dislike the rustic evergreen. If that's the applicant's first choice.
All right. What I'm tempted to do is include a list, Ms. Stipe, if that's okay with you,
Okay.
And if you would choose your favorite from the list, we understand from Bill the problems with availability, and honestly, the storms have already started in Alabama. I heard that one on the news yesterday. So moving quickly may be important for you. So the colors I have in mind are the Old English pewter, the antique slate, the rustic black, the rustic evergreen. Is there a fifth choice? I think we were deciding.
Say them one more time.
Old English pewter,
Yeah.
antique slate, rustic black, rustic evergreen.
I'm fine with those as the choices.
Yeah, that's sure.
All right. Then I will entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Hayes Clement, so moved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I think Kevin got you this time, Peter. Thank you, Kevin. I'll call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Then I move that the commissioners find as fact that the proposed new roof for 252 Broadway in the Chestnut Street Historic District by applicant Hedrick Marie Stipe. Am I saying that correctly?
You are. Yes.
Thank you. And owner Stipe Family Irrevocable Trust, if done according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in section 405-64 of the City of Kingston's Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building and the district for the following reasons. That the proposed work will take place at the 2.5-story side hall colonial wood frame house with its entrance facing south, appearing on the 1914 Codwise maps of Kingston, having been built sometime between 1899 and 1914. That the proposed work will involve a new roof of Tanko heritage shingles in the applicant's choice of Old English pewter, antique slate, rustic black, or rustic evergreen throughout. And that this work will cause a material change to the external appearance of the property, that the roof will not detract from the character of the historic district or the building, that any changes or additions to the work specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to that work being carried out, that this commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on this 6th day of May 2021, this commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for the work as described herein and in its application to the commission, such a notice to be subject to the conditions contained in the foregoing motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Peter. Any further discussion? No, then I will call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Thank you, Ms. Stipe, for struggling through colors here with us.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Back to you, Hayes.
Next item of business is 63 West Union Street, a proposal to renovate to a 3-family home involving rebuilding of porch stairs with pressure-treated lumber for stringers, risers, treads in the same size, same location, material, and replacement of wooden railing with new iron railing, replacement of 2 4x4 posts with 6x6 posts. The applicant here is Mark Meyerhoff, applicant and owner. Mark, are you here?
No, I'm here. I'm Nick, NSG Construction.
Okay.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
Has everyone had a chance to review the plan? Hold on one second. You want to just walk us through, Nick, what the plan is?
Pretty much we're renovating the entire building, and we have an existing set of pressure treated steps that possibly encroach into the city right away. And I was trying to get a confirmation on that with Ed, I believe it's Norman, from the DPW. And he was supposed to stop by earlier this week, and he actually didn't get back to me and let me know if what he was able to find out. But the existing set of steps is there. It's in poor shape. As we renovate, we're going to obviously need access to the building. We want to just, sort of shore up the steps for now. And then upon completion of the interior of the building, pull out and then, rework the steps, put a code compliant handrail, and that was pretty much it. But right now we have, it's pressure treated. They are all equal rise, that is just below 8 inches each. And for all intents and purposes, they're acceptable, as constructed, with the exception that they need to be reworked right now. But it was the whole possible encroachment into the city right away, which I wasn't able to find on the survey or anything along those lines.
Are those stairs even usable now? They don't even look safe.
Well, exactly. That's why I have to temporarily, build a bottom step on them so we can get in and out, because, we're going to be carrying a lot of material in and out, and they're likely going to, get damaged during that process.
The only really visible difference, or the biggest visible difference, is going to be an iron railing as opposed to the wood railing.
Correct. Typically, as you can see what's on there right now, that is not code. So due to the amount of work that's getting done on the building, we have to rework those, and they have to obviously be up to code. You have to be able to grasp your hand around the top handrail. So typically on something like that, if that was in perfect shape, we would have to put an additional grab rail on the railing itself if we were not touching them. But because we're touching them, for us, it's a simpler solution, as the builder, rather than trying to deal with something with wood that's not necessarily going to hold up and, need a little bit more maintenance. So the grab rail being iron or the metal is just a lot easier. And I think you should have a picture attached of something that we just did on, I guess it's 297 Clinton Ave on the corner of John Street and Clinton.
Yeah.
And there was a black railing that's there's a real estate office in that building. So we just redid all the porches over there, and we used those, and those worked out pretty nicely.
Are there other changes planned for this porch? Like
not at this
close
time.
to the railings and everything.
Not at this time, just because of this property sort of been sitting. We had some other delays early on, and we actually had this demoed completely in 2018. So of course it sat last year, and it sat for the majority of 2019 because we were trying to get some approvals to start, and this had not been brought up by the building department. There was a different person in there at the time, and we were told we had to put a sprinkler system in, and now we're being told we don't have to. So that's why we're trying to get the ball rolling. And we're kind of just trying to limit, we're going to eventually paint the outside of the building. We have not discussed colors. We're nowhere near ready for that point. But to just get the permit rolling, the building inspector, Paul Economos, wanted us to have this approval on the steps. Even though we're not going to do this, I'm not going to do the steps anytime in the near future. Literally upon completion, I'll work our way out of there and then finish what we have to do on the porch.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Hi,
Michael?
I was just wondering, were you planning on keeping the 3 bays of the clapboard that was set in there? I think aesthetically would look so much nicer if that were opened up.
I certainly agree. And at this point in time, it's just not on the budget. It's a full 3-story building that's completely gutted. And so knowing what material prices and stuff are right now, it's, we're already at 45% more cost just because this building's been sitting. And yes, I'd love to do that, but I've probably done 40 porches like that in the city of Kingston, at least, varying sizes. And on average, to do it properly, you're looking at $25,000 to put them back the way they need to be put back. And
really that much to just remove that? Does it make
well, no, yes, you're talking to just a railing. No, not just the railing, but you're going to be once you start getting into re-pulling off the porch posts, you're going to be supporting the roof line. I'm talking about replacing the decking.
The whole porch. I'm just saying,
yeah,
to be able to remove those, that clapboard.
Mhm.
It would be nice if that could be somehow opened up just between the columns without redoing the entire porch.
Right. Yes, that's certainly something that's doable, but we just didn't get there yet. Which it's just not even something that's thought about right now. We're really just trying to get this to a building that's functionable, right? Right now you can't even walk into the building. It's literally a brick shell.
Wow. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck. It looks like a beautiful building.
Oh yeah. No, it's very nice. Really nice building. There was just some confusion early on because of, I think, the building inspector that was in there, he wasn't experienced with this stuff, and it really threw a cog in the wheel, and everybody sort of got a sour taste in their mouth. Putting a sprinkler system in pretty much blew the budget apart, and now we're where we're at. So we're just trying to get it moving.
Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me. This is Julie. Aren't you replacing the posts under the porch?
So the post, there's a 4x4 post that's just supporting the deck. And if you can see from that picture, it's, it's undersized considerably. So I was going to do that at a minimum because I don't even think, if you can imagine, we're going to be carrying materials in and out, and at certain points we're going to be staging stuff up there, and it's sketchy to say the least, structurally. So I just wanted to kind of add a little additional support, and if all of a sudden the budget allows us to redo anything with there, I assume I'm going to have to bring all this to you guys again and exactly what we're going to do. But it's just, at this point in time, we haven't really wrapped our heads around it. So there's 2 4x4s that are there that are just, they're cracked and warped and checked. So we just wanted to stick a pressure treated 6x6 in there, and those would get painted at one point.
Any other questions for the applicant? Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under seeker? Motion by Dean Barnes. Do I hear a second?
Mike, I'll second.
Second by Mike Del Priore. That motion's on the floor. Any debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Second, do I hear a motion to approve the renovations at 63 West Union Street to include the rebuilding of the porch stairs with pressure treated lumber for stringers, risers, threads in the same size and location, with the replacement of wooden railing with new iron railing, and the replacement of 2 4x4 posts with 6x6 posts as presented.
Hayes, can you just amend that to include confirmation of the location of the public right-of-way, their property line?
With confirmation of the public right-of-way and in accordance with the public right-of-way.
Right.
Do I hear that motion?
So moved, Mike.
Michael Del Priore. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Kevin McAvoy. That motion's on the floor. Any debate, any further comment on it? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
On this issue, the Heritage Area Commission approves, and I'll turn it back over to Mark.
Thank you, Hayes. All right. Anyone on Historic Landmark Preservation Commission have questions about the proposal? Anything in addition? Yes, Suzanne?
Nick, can we just have your last name for the record? I'm sorry.
Guglielmetti, it's Guglielmetti.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Thank you, Peter. Do I have a second?
Hayes Clement, second.
Thank you, Hayes. Any discussion? I'll call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Okay, one last chance to ask questions or comments among HLPC members regarding what we've heard from Nick. All right, hearing none, I'm going to move that the commission find as fact that the proposed renovation of the front porch stairs at 63 West Union Street in the Rondout Historic District by applicant and owner Mark Meyerhoff, if done according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in section 405-64 of Kingston's Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building in the district for the following reasons. That the proposed work will take place at the 3-story Italianate brick building with decorative carved wood porch located on the 3rd lot off of Wirt Street between Wirtz and Hone Streets, facing southeast, visible on the 1851 map of Rondout, having been likely built between then and 1840. That the proposed work will involve rebuilding the porch stairs with pressure-treated lumber for stringers, risers, and threads in the same size and location as material, replacement of the wood railing with new iron railing, and replacement of 2 4x4 posts with 6x6 posts. That this work will cause a material change to the external appearance of the property, that the renovations will not detract from the character of the historic district or the building, that any changes or additions to the work specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to further work being carried out, that this commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from the relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on this 6th day of May 2021, our commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for the work as described herein and in his application to the commission, such notice to be subject to the conditions contained above. Do I hear a second?
Mark, would you also add into that the resolution of the right-of-way with Department of Public Works, please?
All right, then I'm amending the second to last paragraph to say, does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division, appropriate approval from the Department of Public Works fixing the boundary of the public right-of-way, or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Might as well be specific. All right, I accept that amendment. And do I hear a second on the motion as amended?
Robert, second.
Thank you, Robert. Any further discussion by HLPC members? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Good luck with your construction.
Thank you very much.
All right. So next on is we continue for a bit here before Hayes and HAC takes back over. We need to, has everyone taken a look at the amendments to the zoning code related to accessory dwelling units? Sue sent something out to folks a little earlier today. Have you had a chance to look it over? Does everyone understand what we're looking at and dealing with here? It's essentially accessory apartments, sometimes within a structure, sometimes could be in a adjoining structure. There's a push in codes across the state for this as an approvable use under a series of zoning codes. I'm not entirely sure how this fits with the ongoing review of zoning. Sue, is this a specific carve out? Is this part of a larger picture? What can you tell us?
Carve out, Dan, I don't know if you want to chime in. The entire zoning ordinance is in process, just starting to be looked at and rewritten in a whole different fashion as a form-based code versus the Euclidean style that it is right now. So this is really more just addressing this one issue of accessory dwelling units. And Dan, do you want to speak to this at all?
Yeah, sure. This has nothing to do with the long-term goal of revising the zoning code. This is a measure that is being looked at statewide to address an emergency housing crisis throughout the state. The state assembly and the state senate have introduced bills that in essence would require municipalities throughout the state to remove any and all impediments to property owners in residential districts, adding accessory dwelling units. The idea being that the major impediment to the growth of housing in communities are zoning restrictions that limit property owners' abilities to create specifically these types of units that naturally fall into the affordable housing niche. So this is an attempt by the council to get ahead of the curve on this issue, anticipating that there will be requirements that will be imposed by the state of New York that we go significantly further than we are proposing now. The county planning director appeared in front of the Laws and Rules Committee last month and advocated for a much more expansive approach. The council is certainly considering that. Our office and the alderwoman who proposed the legislation believe that starting small was the best approach to get the discussion going. In essence, this would remove the parking restrictions or severely curtail the parking restrictions so that the code would only require one parking space per accessory dwelling unit. It would also eliminate the requirement with regard to when the property was built, and also eliminate certain square footage requirements that are currently in the code, basically deferring to the New York State Building Code with regard to their criteria for habitable space.
Well, Dan, can you explain, the two deleted sections, 4059 C and D? What are the two deleted sections about?
I don't have the email in front of me. My recollection is one of them indicates that accessory dwelling units can only be constructed in properties that were built, I believe it's prior to 1984.
Right. And I have the code if you want me just to.
If you can just read the two of them.
Yeah, so section C first is location and age. An accessory apartment may be located in the principal dwelling provided that such principal dwelling existed prior to January 1st of 1982, can use a minimum of 2,000 square feet of habitable space and conforms to other requirements of this chapter, unless a variance therefore shall have been granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that would delete that entire section. And then D reads, the apartment size. The minimum floor area for an accessory apartment shall be 300 square feet, but in no case shall it exceed 25% of the habitable area of the dwelling in which it is located, or 600 square feet, whichever is less, unless in the opinion of the planning board, a greater or lesser amount of floor area is warranted by the specific circumstances of the particular building. So
And
that-
Hayes, under the proposed state legislation, any minimum square footage requirements would be deemed null and void. And, certainly the requirement, or rather the provision, that they're only permissible in buildings that predate the 1980s. I don't believe anybody has any idea where that came from or what the justification is. I think the only thing we could come up with was that was the date of the last amendment to this section of the code.
But if it's removing a size limitation, it's basically saying any house can be subdivided into multifamily?
Well, as long as it is still constitutes an accessory dwelling unit, and accessory dwelling units are basically defined as less than 50% of the habitable space, in a property. So,
So a 1,500 square foot house could be split into one space that's 49% of it and one space that's 51% of it?
correct, yes.
Doesn't this open the door to everything being subdividable?
That's in essence, that's the whole idea of the state legislation.
But don't historic districts, everything just go out the window then? Don't all protections?
Well, we're talking about the interior of structures, not the exterior of structures. We're not talking about changing the jurisdiction or the review authority of the Historic Landmark Preservation Commission with regard to exterior appearance or historic features. It's allowing property owners to basically reconfigure the interior of their homes to allow for, additional apartments.
But and correct me if I'm exaggerating it, but it's basically saying 90-something% of houses could become two families.
Well, technically, it's not two families. It's a primary dwelling space and an accessory dwelling space. So by definition, it's not a two-family house, but it certainly is moving in the direction to remove impediments to creating housing units in otherwise single-family zones. And the state legislation specifically speaks of, of that goal.
Okay, but a secondary apartment can be 49% of the floor space of the total house.
Correct.
It sounds like subdivision, it sounds like the practical effect of it is going to be creating lots and lots of two families. Potentially.
I would agree.
Also, the trick for Kingston is always trying to keep old good. That is our struggle for most of our existence as a Historic Landmark Preservation Commission. We want to make sure that the housing stock is well kept up, and this is an attempt to follow America into smaller households. Some of our buildings will lend themselves to splits the way Hayes is describing. Others will be a tougher sell just on housing layouts. We will retain control over the exterior. So we're going to be dealing with things like extra doors that people are going to want to tuck into facades, extra separate perhaps entryways, more than one porch. That's kind of what I'm imagining we will find ourselves doing. The question that comes to me is this likely, by providing an additional use possibility in most of the housing stock, frankly, in the city, will it allow or promote the upkeep and maintenance of our older housing stock than the average city here in New York? I mean, I know from a state perspective, this is meant to point a finger at the Scarsdales and several, special enclave villages on Long Island where it's really exclusionary zoning. We've never had that here in any huge degree.
Well, and Mark, if I could just jump in for a second, that's extremely inaccurate. Our code is wholly an exclusionary zoning code, and it has created, in essence, a housing crisis. And the representation that the state is somehow targeting more wealthy communities down in Westchester is also inaccurate. The state has recognized that there is a serious housing crisis throughout the region and throughout the state, and has acknowledged that addressing that crisis has to be the priority now, and that certain other government interests, such as what this board addresses at this particular time, have to take a back seat to housing people. And if density requirements are precluding communities from providing housing opportunities, they have to be revisited.
Right, and we've had certain zones of the city that are set up as more exclusionary. This is going to create a different mix around the city. My thought in favor of it is that it provides flexibility and will force people to invest in their homes and keep them up, and make sure that this use may save some historic structures that might otherwise be left untouched because it's impractical. Who wants a 9-bedroom home anymore? So that's my concern with this, and the hope I have for it. Hayes?
Dan, there's no requirement that somebody creating a new accessory unit under these rules be a full-time resident of the house?
It is. It is.
Actually, it's still a requirement. Owner occupancy is still a requirement.
Yes.
Okay. Owner occupancy is a requirement. Okay.
Dan, this is Kevin. It looks like we're starting with 405-9, which is triple R, but I believe that provision also carries over into the other one-family district and maybe even into the two-family district. I'm not 100% sure about that. Does it go well, certainly into the other one-family districts, it seems to carry over, but how about the other districts, the two-family or three-family?
To the triple R, the double R, and the R1.
That's it?
Let me quick check. I don't believe it carries into the R2.
R2 there, that's in R4. That's what I was wondering.
I don't believe so, but I'll double check right now.
In the interest of full disclosure, I assume that the council in the next couple of meetings is going to be looking at seriously expanding this proposal to apply basically citywide, which would again match up against the state proposal. So in essence, eliminating all impediments to accessory dwelling units regardless of zone.
Could they drop the owner occupancy rule, or that's state law?
They certainly could. I don't believe that they are moving in that direction. I think that we have additional protections in our code with regard to landlord registration that, in essence, provides a substitute for for an owner occupant. I don't believe that the council is considering moving in that direction. But again, the state ultimately might, based on the discussion at the council meeting last week, I don't believe that there is significant support for removing the owner occupancy requirement.
Dan, I have a question. If the council does change the language, wouldn't that require them to be re-referred back to, I mean, if they're changing, if they go beyond what has been presented for the review of the agencies, that being the Landmarks Commission, the Planning Board, and the County Planning Board, wouldn't it require going back to them?
Not necessarily. It all depends on what changes they make. They have referred it to you. You are commenting on the proposal that they have sent you.
Right.
I certainly would recommend to them that they send it back if there are significant changes. But I mean, this has been pending for quite a long time, it is certainly time sensitive. I would not suggest that, that they cut out that step, but this is an ongoing discussion.
Well, the commission could put it in their feedback to the common council that if there are substantive changes made, they be referred back, I guess.
Well, you certainly could request that, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But again, your recommendations can be overridden by, by a supermajority.
Understood.
Well, I mean, I personally think that would be catastrophic if the council were somehow able to and did sort of drop the owner occupancy requirement.
Well, I think you certainly should put that in your letter to the council. If there's a majority of the board that is strongly opposed to removing the owner occupancy, that should be articulated in your initial letter to them.
I would agree with Hayes on this one. Again, the idea is in general, and Sue, you probably heard this back when I did, that in a neighborhood that is majority owned by residents will stay more stable longer, typically a 50-year cycle as opposed to a 30-year cycle for a majority of renters. So I think that would help stabilize the exterior of houses if we came out in favor of maintaining an owner occupancy requirement. Anyone else have any strong feelings on how we want to respond to the Common Council on this?
The one car parking rule, lowering it to one car availability, I mean, is that would include on street, or that has to be off street, Dan?
The proposal that we have put forth at this point is one additional off-street parking requirement per accessory dwelling unit. Again, the state legislation specifically says that any parking requirements that are imposed would be null and void. The state is urging all parking requirements to be removed. Our proposal would basically put it back in the hands of the planning board to say if additional spaces are required, and that they could impose those additional requirements during the site plan review and or special permit review.
That's just going to be a disaster in any number of neighborhoods in Kingston that all of us could sit and name right now. I mean, I get the state's objective, but it's such an overreach.
Well, but again, that's not what is being proposed at this point. We are talking about reining it in so that there is a one spot per ADU, and giving the planning board the discretion based upon the configuration and the information that's in front of them during site plan to require more.
But if the state says you can't do it, what's
Then
gonna,
at least we've moved in that direction. And, we'll address it at the time. If the state legislation passes down the road, the state legislation specifically preempts our code and specifically says that any provisions of local codes that are inconsistent are deemed null and void.
right. It's very frightening to me, the implications and what I think are going to be the ramifications of some of this.
Well, and in many respects, this gives us the opportunity, to see and to prepare for the possibility of more extreme measures being imposed upon us by the state.
Dan, has any thought been given to the exemption for being within a certain distance of public parking? The way
No.
it is for
I mean,
apartment?
that's certainly a consideration for the planning board. The intention is to eliminate statutory impediments and to increase the ability of the planning board to exercise its discretion on a case-by-case basis based upon the location of the property. Certainly, its proximity to public parking is one issue that the planning board would consider in making that decision.
And that is currently in the code. The planning board does have the ability to waive the requirement of off-street parking if a property is within 400 feet of a public lot that's have available parking. I mean, the planning board has to review that as well. And it can be a private situation as well. So a person could own a property that's 2 down, that's a vacant lot, and they can use that for parking if it's approved. That would be sufficient as well. So
in essence, this would flip the discretionary process from the planning board. So instead of there being an impediment to proceeding that the planning board could waive, there would be an ability to apply to the planning board, and the planning board could impose a requirement if they saw fit.
All right. Any further discussion among HLPC members?
Just it refers to triple R,
it is,
double R, and R1.
yeah, it is only the single families. It's
Okay.
R, double R, and R1, the way it's written in the code now. And that's why I suggested that you ask for, if they extend it to more zones, maybe you want it to come back to you as well.
Okay.
What do folks feel about that if it were to go into office zones or some of the overlay kinds of districts? Do we want to be specific or simply generally request that they come back to us if the list of affected zones changes?
I'd like to see it come back to us, but but in addition to that, and even before that, I'd like to see us take a strong stand on the owner occupancy requirement in favor of, at the very least.
I'm tending toward that direction as well, Hayes.
I would agree with that.
All right, I think I've got a sense of the board. I'm going to move that we authorize Sue to send a letter to the Common Council indicating our general position on this proposal, that one, we would maintain our review of building exteriors. Two, that we would strongly support maintaining the owner occupancy requirement. And three, that if there are substantive changes to the legislation, specifically including a change in the zones to which it will be applied, that they return to our commission for additional comment.
I would also include that we be very mindful of parking requirements in any number of Kingston neighborhoods that already are where a lot of dwelling units don't have off-street parking.
I could accept that as an amendment, that I would ask Sue mention that as a continuing concern for Historic Landmark Preservation Commission, because
I'm not concerned with that, actually.
you're not?
Not,
Okay.
not really. I mean, we live in a city. I don't feel that there's really any area of the city where I would have to walk far at all in order to get to a home.
Levan, Brewster, Andrew, Staple Street. I mean, there's already a pretty severe parking issue over there with high school kids parking without a lot of houses without driveways. And a lot of houses over there, if you're lifting the square footage requirement, are you know, it's just going to get worse. I'd say the same thing of uptown. A lot of streets in the Stockade District, Green, Crown. Again, limited off-street parking already.
In uptown, you have more of the possibility of public parking, but I'm familiar with both those areas, and I think Hayes's point is well taken. You're right, Peter, it's not everywhere, but there are definitely areas of the city, and depending on which zones they choose, we may be finding ourselves with some additional issues in a historic district that we need to give some thought to. I agree there are areas of the city where it's less of a concern, but I think Hayes's point does apply to enough regions in the city that we should be mindful that that could be an additional complication. I recall a huge battle over a carport on West Chestnut. And if we had to go through that repeatedly in, say, Fair Street or in, say, another area in West Chestnut Street, I think it could make a real difference in the streetscape. So
well, I'm talking, Mark, more about situations where there are already streets clogged with cars because there's not a lot of off-street parking in the neighborhood to begin with, making those situations even worse.
That's actually a safety issue from your point of view.
Well, it's a number of issues, but it's an aesthetic issue too within a historic district or neighborhood character.
And if I may, I think the language that Hayes was suggesting merely is asking the council to be mindful of the issue. They're going to be mindful of the issue anyway, and asking them or expressing your belief that this is a significant concern that they should consider is certainly, certainly appropriate. You're not saying that you think that it should be a deal breaker. You're saying, be mindful of it and consider it.
Exactly.
All right. I will move the question as amended. Do I have a second? Thank you, Hayes. I'll call the roll. Hayes?
One last thing that I think the reason I was confused on the zones is the proposed legislation as it was sent to us. I think it's supposed to be 405-9B9. And when I saw 9.9 and I went into the other codes, I was like,
oh no.
Where am I going here? Yikes.
The detail pops. That sound correct to you as well, Sue? Just as a point of information to you?
I might just be glazing over looking at it. I don't know. But that's what it looked like to me. It should be 405-9B9.
Yes, he is correct. Capital B9.
I'm not going crazy. Okay.
Thank you for
All right.
the eagle eye,
Okay.
Kevin.
Sorry for
No, it's a good thing.
throwing a point of order in there, but okay. Let's
All
move
right.
on.
Any further discussion? Does everyone understand what's on the table? All right. We have a motion and a second. I will call the roll. Hayes,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Please go ahead and draft that letter on our behalf, Sue.
I will draft it and then I will circulate it.
That would be great. Thank you. And folks, feel free to comment to the group as a whole.
Mhm.
Last bit of business for us is a letter from Marissa Marvelli regarding joint meetings. Has everyone had a chance to look that over? What she would be hoping for is a different policy rather than joint meetings, that we instead have separate meetings, and she would ask that HAC cede its review, especially its purely what's the right word here? The advisory opinions to HLPC. Do we want to discuss that at some point as a group? Do we want to tackle it here and now? What is the feeling of members? I see Dan with his hand up. What do you say?
As the attorney representing both boards and every board and other boards and commissions within the city, I believe that the way you have been conducting these meetings with Hayes has been the most productive approach that I believe I have seen in 10 years. And I compliment Sue for, proceeding in this manner. The progress that we have made in terms of eliminating the redundancy and increasing the deliberation and the discussion and the exchange of ideas between the two commissions has been, very much appreciated. And I would very much discourage you, from changing it in any way.
What about the point, Dan, about just the HAC stopping giving advisory things and, ceding decision-making to HLPC when we just have an advisory role?
I believe that as long as you are all sitting around the table and exchanging ideas in a productive manner, that limiting the ability of any particular member to participate in the discussion is inappropriate and unnecessary. We have done this now, I believe, 3 or 4 meetings in a row. The groups work very well together. The groups listen to each other. You all bring different perspectives to the table, and the more perspectives that are considered and discussed, the better the ultimate decision is. I don't see any reason to cut individual participants out of deliberations if they can be conducted productively, and you have been.
That's a testament to the members, frankly, all of you here, really. I think when we're listening to the other crew do their reviews, we're able to glean a fair amount from that. And so Dan's right. we may have some point in the future where there's a huge difference of opinion between two boards, and this may be a more formal split may be more important. But I do know that it's obviously more convenient and efficient for the city's review, for the staff's review, than two separate meetings on two separate nights with two separate points.
And for the public.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's a longer meeting, but I think they walk away with both approvals if they need them. And that's a plus for the public. I think that's a good point, Mike. Anyone else have commentary on this?
Just that we have three more.
I think the substantive point she was, yeah, I'll make this very quick. I think the substantive point she was making is that HAC could approve of something, HLPC could disapprove of it, and that could give rise to some other action down the road.
If you don't have approval authority, you only have advisory authority. It's
Right, but they could use that opinion as the basis for an Article 78 against the HLPC. I think that's the gist of what she was saying, but so far.
As your lawyer, I have no concerns about that at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move on.
All right, a couple of additional points before I entertain a motion to adjourn. One is the passing of Ed Ford. I think it's appropriate for us to just recognize that we would not be here as a board without him. He was I can tell you from my experience working with him on historic landmark preservation that we have lost a true encyclopedia of Kingston history in Ed Ford. One of the real joys of serving on this commission was walking down the street with Ed and just having him peel back the centuries of what would have been here in the 1600s, the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s, and we would be able to compare and contrast that. Also, he was instrumental. After the post office was torn down, he was absolutely instrumental in preserving the columns and whatever other bits and pieces he could put his hands on. You may wonder how those columns got to Montrepose. That was Ed. Also, the lunettes inside City Hall's council chambers, he saved them, or he saved the originals. What we see there are reproductions. He physically saved these huge plaster lunettes that depict various scenes of Kingston history. Ed was truly the beginning of historic preservation in many ways, certainly as a governmental function here in Kingston. So I would feel remiss if we didn't at least give him some thought and a tribute to all of his efforts through the decades. And to make it to 103 is pretty darned amazing in any event. And last, I received a survey of bluestone sidewalks along Henry Street from Lynn Wood. I think, Sue, did you receive that as well? Okay, Hayes, you got it as well. I think it's good work. It is very reminiscent of the bluestone survey that we did back in, I believe it was 2013 or 2015. And I would salute her for her efforts on this one. And I would hope we can bring this up next month, a discussion in how best to preserve bluestone as is required by another section of city code. It's not Henry Street only has tiny bits and pieces that is in our direct purview, but I think it's worth our speaking up on trying to preserve as much bluestone as we can. And she's proven to me that Henry Street has an awful lot of good, intact, solid bluestone. So Sue, I would ask that you put that on our agenda and post what Lynn has sent for next month.
We'll make sure, I don't think it gets to all of the members, so we'll make sure it gets out to all of the members as well of both commissions, so that you'll have that before the meeting.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything else to bring to Historic Landmarks' attention as a commission? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
And HAC members, you still have to stay. We have 3 more
We
things.
have more applicants. Yeah.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Peter. Do I have a second? Thank you, Robert. I will call the roll. Hayes.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
I agree. We adjourn by acclamation. See you all next month.
Okay, HAC members are still on. Okay. Next item of business is 199 Greenkill Avenue, proposal to replace existing front porch parapet with a new higher baluster and handrails, leveling a front porch floor and new lattice work. Tim Charest is applicant and owner. Tim, are you here?
I don't know if Tim is here. Why don't we move, well, we come back to that. Can we move on? There's other applicants that are here, so maybe we can just
Hold
go
on.
through theirs.
Next item of business is 259 of Beale Street, proposal to replace an 8-foot bluestone retaining wall at the side entrance of the home with mafia block and possible deck to obstruct the view, and the addition of a 10 by 16 foot shed. Anezka Sebek and Nelsie Ibar Grau, applicants and owners. I think I saw them here.
Yes.
Anezka, can you walk us through what you want to do?
Actually, these are 2 separate applications.
Mhm.
One is the wall that was at one point supporting our front walk to our front door. The house is very, crazy in a way. It has a side entrance as a front door. That wall collapsed in 2014, in the spring of 2014, after the city had dumped a lot of water on our land the fall before, and the water became just too much for the old bluestone wall, and it busted it out. Piece remaining is 10-foot long by 8-foot high piece that you can see in the photos. That, of course, is equally compromised, and for a long time we don't have money to really restore the wall, and the wall was very poorly built to begin with. It was, we think, we have a picture of the house with a partial version of the wall that old man Bzanko had. And then he did all kinds of crazy stuff to it, and as you guys know. And then we kind of got stuck with whatever the building flipper gave us, which was, again, a really, poor renovation of the wall. So since that particular piece of wall, which is a 10-foot long by 8-foot high, remaining kind of piece, as you can see, it's already, you can see that it's not very healthy. We thought we would, and by the way, we have now gotten unbelievable bids for doing it with bluestone. It's like a down payment to a house. And we're not that rich, and we don't know what to do. So I actually had asked Julie to not really, include this in this application, but she thought that maybe you all might have some advice for us as to what to do here. Albert Riazzi had agreed at one point, but he's disappeared into thin air. As you probably know, many construction companies are disappearing into thin air for especially problematic jobs. And we had him agree to the fact that Mafia Block would support the wall, and we were going to put a deck extending our kind of front entry and a deck over it. The wall is not visible from the street because we have a privacy fence. So we're quietly dealing with it and suffering through it behind our privacy fence. So yeah, so we have a problem. We don't know what to do right now because everybody who's come over to look at it is scared by it. So I don't know what to do. So that's why I said to Julie, hey, you know, I actually have had now 3 contractors look at it. 2 have disappeared on me. So there's one supposedly coming to look at it sometime in the next week or so. But I mean, it is a problem, right? And is this a problem of what happens with old homes?
Would the new block just go in front of the bluestone, or would you take the bluestone
Well,
out?
that's the thing. Yes, of course. I mean, it needs to support the block, the wall. Of course, the block would go in front of the bluestone. Where else would it go?
No.
This is what Julie was pointing out to me too. So.
Well, of course, but I mean, so it's going in front. You're not removing the bluestone. You're just putting the new.
No. Are you kidding me? That would be treacherous to do. And we actually have gotten bids of removing the bluestone, rejigging that whole 10-foot wall, you know, anchoring it into the ground, 2 feet into the ground, and properly believe me, people come along, the 3 people that have come along, and they go, hey, yeah, that's kind of bluestone, but it's not really bluestone. And I'm going, really? And they say, yeah, see, this one is not bluestone, that's not bluestone. And they pick out which ones are not. Whatever, right? So when we disassemble it, we're going to put it together with real bluestone. Okay, so that drives the price up again, right? So we're literally between a rock and a hard place. Sorry for the pun. But so I have no idea what to do there, especially because people get scared of it.
And is that's a drainage pipe that is popping out of
no. The old man, you guys remember old man Zanko, right?
Yeah.
He used to have his water source he used to drink and do all his stuff, everything. He used to have his water source from a shallow aquifer from the top property that we also own. And he had pipes everywhere, literally everywhere, into the house, by the way, of course, where he needed to use it. Yeah. So, and that's one of the vestiges of his pipes. They're all cut off. They don't have any water going through them anymore.
Okay.
I've never heard this referred to as Mafia Block, but it's just interlocking pavers that we see people try to do.
No. Mafia Block is a construction block that is actually used to really, you know, for severe, you know, support. They're 2 feet thick by, I believe, they come in 2, 4, and 6 foot long pieces. They have kind of like a interlocking little bridge on the top. And I didn't want to even show you guys Mafia Block. That's why it's not included in the package.
I think it's like Jersey Barrier is
what's
another.
It called?
I believe it might be called the Jersey Barrier.
Everybody has a different name for
huge.
it.
They're just huge.
Yeah, Spin and Weber calls them Mafia Block. And they're used in cases like this where there's, you know, something failing and you just, you know, to support some, pressure and a very heavy thing.
So I'm just looking them up online. They are pretty huge.
Put up a screen share.
There
that
you go.
the-
Yeah, that's it. And that's what it would look like. I'm not telling you guys that it is pretty. It's pretty ugly, but it would solve our problem. Although, Albert Riazzi has disappeared on me. I asked him for an architectural sketch of what he would do, because that's what Julie asked me, and he disappeared. It seems that for contractors is a very scary thing, an architectural sketch of a wall. So I have no idea. It's completely ridiculous. But yeah. So we're seeking advice for all you historians. Help us out. And we're two little old ladies. We don't have a lot of money.
On this
What was
page
that?
13 of the application, I see a fence. Is that fence existing right now? It goes all the way around along the front of your
I was
property?
asked to send you guys. Yes, what do you want us to do with that fence? Take it down?
No, I was just
Chelsea.
wondering if it's real, because I see another picture where there is no fence.
Okay, so we put solar panels up on our roof, and we were treated to the nice effect of solar panel avalanches. And so we had to take the fence down because the avalanche crushed our fence. We've had a lot of fun in our house.
So the fence is up or it's not up? I'm confused.
The photo without of course the fence is up. It's an 80-foot long fence, but we took the portion off that was crushed by the avalanche from the
So
solar
you
panel.
have the crushed part was on the right side of the house?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Excuse me, could you just clarify for me? It's Dan Gartenstein. I'm Assistant Corporation Counsel. Can you clarify for me what communication, if any, there has been with the building department at this point?
They
with
sent me to
regard-
you.
What do you mean? Me as
They
in me
wanted me to
Corporation
clear
Counsel?
this through you. What was that?
When you say they sent me to you, are you referring to me as Corporation Counsel or the
No,
HLPC or
the building
HAC?
department, who I always deal with because we do a lot of work on the house, like, we put a porch on, we had to replace the roof, all that, the roof was put in very badly, so it leaked, all kind of dramas. So we've had to deal with the building department for the last 13 years, lucky 13, that's how long we've been there. And so yeah, they're our buddies, they're our friends. They know, oh yeah, it's Aneshka and Elsie are gonna fix their house again.
What has the building department said with regard to safety issues related to that wall?
They don't know what to do. They have said nothing. Nothing.
And its current status or its current state, have they indicated whether that is, a code violation at this point that needs to be addressed on an emergency basis?
They never said anything like that, and they've come to look at it.
And when was the last time they were there?
3 weeks ago, 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just for clarification, I mean, you repeatedly said you're asking for guidance from the board. Is there a particular proposal that you have now that you're asking this board to?
Yes,
approve?
the proposal is in this application. It's Albert Riazzi's crazy sketch of how he would put the mafia block in.
Despite the fact that he has gone AWOL.
Yes.
And do
I've
we know
tried
if,
to contact him, I don't know how many times, because I thought that he might be interested that we're putting this in front of the Heritage Area Board.
and so
but-
for argument's sake, if this board approved that configuration and those materials, you would still need to find somebody who could do the work.
Precisely.
Thank you.
For deck.
The deck is inconsequential because we don't even have money for a deck. We just want to stabilize the wall. That's all. We don't want to one day in March 2022 or something, hear another explosion like we heard in 2014, and the rest of our front entrance is gone. You know.
And you might have alluded to this earlier, but do you have any kind of quote with regard to how much it would be to restore it to real bluestone?
$22,000.
Okay. That's what I figured around there, but I just wanted you to put that out there, you know, so there is a number.
The Mafia block in front of the existing bluestone, it would just go out that, it looks like, it's just 8
It would be an L. Imagine that the wall, you know, adjoins the house. And
Yeah.
then the Mafia block would become an L. And the reason for the L is to support, like to literally put more pressure against that failing wall. So it's like an L support. And then you know, there's the house. So when I saw that, I said, hey, you know, what would it cost to put a deck on this? And he gave me another crazy price. So
I would have no problem with the Mafia block as long as you committed to like growing ivy on it or some kind of creeper or some kind of vine that would just could completely cover it up. It's not like we're going to be seeing that much of it from the road because of the privacy.
You won't see it at all.
But
Nobody will see it from the road.
But if you did a draping creeper thing from your front door that cascaded down.
I'm a gardener. I can do stuff like that. Sure.
Yeah, and I think you'd want to do that anyway because they're so huge and out of scale when you see these.
That's the reason why I didn't like that idea. But just to compare, Albert Riazzi said he would put the Mafia block in for $5,000. So, hey, I can afford that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford $22,000.
Any other questions about the wall aspect of this before we move on to the shed? Would other commission members be okay with the Mafia block as long as there was a commitment to cover it with some kind of plant? Kevin?
Yeah, sure.
Michael?
Yeah.
Dean?
If you have any friends with Mafia block skills, please send them my way.
I don't have a problem. I mean, it could become a safety issue without them, and I don't have a problem with them.
You have a problem or no problem?
No, I have no problem. I'm saying without them, you know, it could become a safety issue. So I would be happy to see them go in.
Yeah, as long as it's covered with a vine or some kind of.
Okay, we'll be creative.
Okay. Second, talk a little about this. The part that's blued out on the diagram is where this shed would go.
Mm-hmm. It's a 10 by 16 Brad's barn shed.
So does
and there's a picture of it in the little package.
So does that conform with code?
It does. In fact, they actually went to the planning board and did a lot line deletion because that had been a separate parcel of land. So in order for them to put this barn structure as an accessory structure on that lot, they had to remove that property line. So they have done that. They have committed to that already.
And that's outside the fence line.
Correct, yes. Yeah, this would be.
If you look at it, it would be between 251 and 259 where we are. So it's the little strip of 50-foot wide land that was between our properties. And that's where we would situate the barn 25 feet back. So it's pretty far off the road. It's kind of at, below the tree line. And it's also going to sit on a pretty nicely made pad with what do you call those, railroad ties to contain the rock that we're going to put down there, so that it's all level, because we have a slight slope. And so when they came over, they said that they would have to, so yeah, so we're paying for them to put in a nice pad, and it'll all look very nice. By the time I get done with the gardening plants I have there, it'll look all very cute and nice.
Anybody have any questions on the shed? Any issues with that? Can we do these as one proposal, Sue, or do we have to break it into two things?
No, you can do it as one.
Okay. First, do I hear a motion to declare both the retaining wall work and the shed installation at 259 of Beale Street as type 2 actions under seeker?
Dean Barnes, so moved.
Dean Barnes moves it. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin McAvoy. That motion's on the floor. Any debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
All right, second, do I hear a motion to approve the surfacing of the bluestone retaining wall at 259 of Beale Street with Mafia block, as long as the Mafia block is obscured with landscaping or a vine cover?
So moved.
So moved by Michael Del Priore. Do I hear a second?
Oh, okay.
Second.
Second by Kevin McAvoy. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate on that?
Yeah, I have a clarifying question. If we do eventually build a deck, do we have to come back to you
Yeah.
guys? Yes, right?
Absolutely. So this motion does not include anything about a deck.
Okay.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Any further debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to approve the installation of a Brad's Barn shed structure at 259 Beale Street as presented?
So moved.
Dean Barnes moves. Michael Del Priore, you second?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Michael Del Priore. That motion's on the floor. Any debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
All right. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Good
Thank
luck.
you, Julie. Thank you, Suzanne, sorry. Bye.
Okay.
Welcome, good luck.
Final item on the agenda, 209 Clinton Street. This is a proposal for a new roof with GAF Timberline HDZ architectural shingles in charcoal with an aluminum drip edge, GAF weather blocker to eaves and rakes, GAF Timberline ridge cap, replacement in kind of wooden elements where needed, removal of chimney at and over roof line to be covered by roof extension, facade paint, change to front entrance stairs. YWCA of Ulster County is the applicant. And Susan Mack is the owner. Bill, are you still here to talk about this?
Susan Mack isn't in attendance. I'm representing the YWCA.
That's Athena?
Yes.
So want to give us a little background on this, Athena?
I'm going to let Bill take over the roof, and then I'll talk about the facade paint and the stairs.
Bill?
I'm here.
Walk us through what we're doing.
Roof replacement. Get a very old roof.
Bill, you talk about maybe the roof and the chimneys and the points that you're doing.
I'm sorry, say you say it again.
Chimneys, just talk about, you're replacing the roof pretty much in kind, correct?
Asphalt wise, yes.
Right.
The actual, what it used to look like and what's available today, they are different.
Okay.
These were original, what they call T-locks. T-locks are no longer available in this market. Are they asphalt based? Yes. And we're putting back the primary shingle, which is the asphalt shingle, which is exactly the same look as the lady that was on before that I interjected on.
Right.
Just
What
a different
color- What color this time?
charcoal, which is what it was before.
Any questions on the roof replacement? Yeah, that looks fine to me. Now tell us about the chimney.
Chimneys were a disaster waiting to happen. That building's over 156 years old, I think it is. They were literally crumbling. One of the chimneys was being pushed over by the wind. That was the back west-facing chimney. Had a curve in it. When we started getting into that chimney, the mortar was so rotted that we had to secure wood supports just to prevent it from coming down while we were taking it down. One of the smallest chimney, which was the one that's looking at the front of the building, I'm from Clinton, it was the top left. Literally, when we took the bluestone off, about 50 brick collapsed inside the chimney.
Ooh.
Yes, and it wound up in one of the offices of, I don't know, Athena knows who it was, I don't remember who it was. This was the inner layer that collapsed in. The outer layer started to come out, and we had to secure it immediately with straps and plywood and other framing. They're old. Even chimneys get old. The bricks, some are cracked. The mortar was extremely dried out. These chimneys should have been brought down a long time ago, but nobody knew. I mean, you look at it, you say, hey, it looks great. But once we got into it and we saw the amount of damage, structural damage, and considering that one chimney, that smaller one, that's on the same side as the daycare. If that thing had let loose during a windstorm or something, yeah, it would have been a mess. Really would have been a mess.
So you're proposing to just remove the chimneys permanently?
Yeah, interior wise, they're still being utilized for look, aesthetics. We're just bringing it down to the roof line, and that's it. Covering them over, won't even miss them. They're not functional.
No. I thought so. You're taking them down to the roof line. So how many feet is that?
Well, each one varies. One's only about 4 feet. Let me hold on a second. You mean how far down under the roof?
Yeah. So you're not taking them down entirely. You're just taking them down to the roof line.
Correct. Just below the roof line. Just below into the attic where we can reframe over top of it and close them up.
So they would still be, the major portion of both would still be visible from the street, right?
No, they're no longer viable.
The only one really that would be visible would be the Clinton Avenue side. That would still
Clinton
have
Avenue.
some visible
Yes.
exterior, but the others I don't think you're going to be visible.
No, those are the other two are interior chimneys, meaning they're not exposed to the, well, one's actually exposed to the outside wall, but it's actually, there's a soffit that boxes around it. The chimney actually expands as it goes down farther towards the ground. It comes back out into the outside wall, but we're not touching any of that. The condition there's not that bad.
So the one that's in the first picture after your proposal, the really tall one, it's coming down to like the first floor roof line or whatever the flat roof is.
Just above the flat roof into the pitch roof.
Okay, so it's coming down like 15 feet.
That chimney's actually 22 feet tall.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So that will be gone entirely. And then the one that's interior built, it will come down to the flashing.
Beyond that, into the roof, and then it gets capped. There's no more chimneys. You will not see.
So but the exterior of that one will still be visible below the roof line, below the eave.
Correct. Below the soffits. On each side of the building, you will still see brick. But above that, there's no more.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame, but I totally understand the situation you're in.
When the only reason why this came up, honestly, our intentions when we originally went to go through all the, the profile of the job and figure out what we need to do. The only reason why this came up was because their back chimney, the real tall one, was curving. The wind was physically pushing it into the roof. And, mortar gets old, dries out. Everything gets old.
They're really beautiful, but I understand also. I mean, it's going to end up being more of a look like your page 17, where it's going to angle, like the brick is just going to end at the angle of the roof, right?
You will not see the brick. Oh, you mean on the driveway side of the building? Yes, the brick is following the roof line down.
Well, the really tall one, the smokestack one, you can see it curving. I mean, it's just looks like a disaster waiting to happen.
Very much so. The one that's on the Clinton side, or the parking lot side, we didn't want to change the chimney below the roof line. We wanted that to come right up against it. And then whatever they decide to do with it at that point, so still aesthetics.
Anybody have an opinion differing in terms of this? Kevin?
No.
Dean?
No.
Do I hear a motion to declare the chimney removal and the roof replacement type 2 actions under seeker?
Do we want to hear the rest of the project before we and then just address this as one project? I think Athena wants to talk a little bit about the facade paint and the change to the front entryway stairs.
Sure. So let me start with the change to the front entryway stairs. And again, I appreciate all your understanding with this in terms of the roof, because that was an emergency job. Paul approved it without suggesting I speak to anyone in this group. So I really also appreciate Bill's time tonight, because he's been with us this entire call and is a great expert. We had a few contractors tell us that those chimneys were in danger, and Bill has the Master Light certifications, well known, and he's done a wonderful job. When it comes to the front stairs, let me start with those, because as you all have, much down, taking over the operations and facilities for the YWCA since September, it has come to my attention that the front stairs are also unstable and unsafe. So we have had those taped off for about 3.5 months, working on getting estimates, mainly to secure the safety, because as you all know, there's a childcare center that runs out of that and out of there. And that is our main concern. And when it comes to any of these deferred maintenance issues, since you have good, probably long-term history of the building, you may not have short-term history. And when I came onto the job, had to be done mainly just to ensure safety and to bring the building to code so that we can be an acceptable and childcare in compliance. So when it comes to the front stairs, as you do probably know, having a longer historical knowledge of the building, the entrance on the Clinton Avenue side, which now we consider sort of our main entrance, in the original structure was just a wooden porch, a small wooden porch. Obviously the building before the annex was attached in 1977 to the Maiden Lane building was a residence. And so that entrance on Clinton Avenue was built out, that facade, with the bluestone and the brick and the ADA compliant ramp in order to improve the building. About 18 to 22 years ago, it was first installed. About 10 years ago, they did have a failure and they backed those stairs off to their present sort of state of being. That current porch, but to re-secure those stairs, they can't just be the water damage has actually created some sinking in on the bluestone. So we have a lot of unevenness on that patio right now, and we're working on making sure that we can raise the level so that we're and the new roof will be secure and that the stairs are safe. So not quite ready to show you our drawings because we are still getting estimates, as I've heard other people on the call talk about budget constraints. As you know, we are certainly under those, even after a generous grant. We are in the weeds financially and working towards increasing programming rather than spending loads of money on, historical materials. So I'm not quite ready to submit drawings on that, but I did want to bring it to your attention, as Suzanne suggested. As soon as I have drawings and proposals, I'll submit those to you. But we will stay in the almost exact look and style. I'm hoping not to have to go with the mafia block that was just discussed. We've had a few other options. But as Bill mentioned, the cost of materials is way up, and we're going to have to sort of make the most affordable choice. But as you know, again, that was a residence with a small wooden porch stair that led up to what must have been the anterior, like, mudroom outside the original kitchen. So those are the stairs. Any questions there, or am I being clear about what we're facing there in terms of a safety issue and what we need to do?
Well, I think it's sort of impossible for us to judge that was before we see your plans and the pictures you need to submit. But are you asking us to approve something tonight on that, or you still got some time?
We have a little bit of time. Again, I'm still waiting for the final estimate to come in, but I thought it was a very generous suggestion Suzanne made to go ahead and let you all know about this, so that we do have the plans, because we have a safety issue. And again, Paul's been very clear with us about making sure that we maintain building safety, that perhaps once we submit these final plans, we can be approved at the desk level. And I know you all spend a lot of time on this, and I appreciate it.
Well, Sue, could we, if need be, if it's something on an emergency basis, how do we typically deal with that? We give you authorization to approve something?
Yeah, Julie and I will make a judgment call. And if we're comfortable saying to give an authorize a go ahead, we will do so. Obviously, a lot's going to depend on materials and what a new look would look, what it would take on. If it's really a drastic change, we probably will bring it back to the commission.
Just in relation to the mafia block on the prior proposal, this is a much higher profile location.
Yeah. But I have to interrupt, I'm sorry, because again, and it's been brought to my attention by Dan Rubax, Andrea Park, people have been involved in that organization for much longer than I have, and much longer than anybody who's on the current leadership team, that those stairs were not, that's a contemporary addition. Those stairs did not, there's an ADA compliant ramp there. So there was never an approval required by this commission previously.
Exactly. So we're not questioning it. We're just saying, I think we're going to be very cooperative. I'm just saying.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Very high profile location, to replicate it as it is now, I don't see any issue with that, but.
Except for the cost.
Yeah.
And again, I just, we're a not-for-profit.
So so the motion I think we can certainly make now. Do I hear a motion to, let's split this into two things. Let's talk about the roof replacement and the chimney removal as one motion, and then whatever needs to happen with the stairs as a second. So do I hear a motion to declare the roof replacement and chimney removal projects type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act?
So moved, Dean Barnes.
So moved by Dean Barnes. Do I hear a second?
Mike, second.
Michael Del Priore, second. So that's motion is on the floor. Any debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Okay, so we've declared it a type 2 action under seeker. Do I hear a motion to approve the chimney removal and the roof replacement project at, what's the address? Sorry.
209 Clinton Avenue.
209 Clinton Avenue as presented.
Dean Barnes, so moved.
Dean Barnes moves. Michael Del Priore seconds. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Hayes Clement, I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
So Sue, do we need on authorizing you and the planning department to take any emergency action needed on the stair replacement at the building in the interim before our next meeting. Do we need to go ahead and declare that a type 2 action?
Yes, please.
So do I hear a motion to declare any stair replacement work at, again, 209 Clinton Avenue, a type 2 action under seeker?
Dean Barnes, so moved.
Dean Barnes so moves. Kevin McAvoy seconds. That motion's on the floor. Any debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. Aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to grant Sue Cahill and the planning staff authorization to approve any stair replacement plan they deem necessary to proceed with before our next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Michael Del Priore, second by Dean Barnes. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. So, Sue, we're leaving it in your discretion to bring it back to us if you feel like there's time and need. But if it's an emergency and you got to decide on something, you're authorized.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you.
The last is on the facade paint, which again, because I'm sort of new in town, we don't have the colors on the table yet, but I did just want to reach out and again, get to know all of you a little bit and also ask if there's anything we can't do. We could submit, as I've seen from tonight, we could submit again to Sue and Julie. This is obviously not an emergency, but as again, given the situation at the Y, our need to sort of revitalize that building and contribute in the way that we know we can is a little bit contingent on making it beautiful. And right now the exterior paint is not. It could use a touch up. So I wanted to make sure there's nothing we can't do, or again, if Sue and Julie are given the authority to approve that we can propose a few colors. I don't think we're incredibly picky about that. You all again have offered your design advice tonight, and I think we'd be happy to. We want it to sort of look the same, but better, if that makes sense.
If I could just make a suggestion, colors are a little bit easier. I think we could simply, if you provided a couple color schemes, or you're like your first choice and maybe your second or third, even if you had one, we could circulate that easily enough to the commission members and get feedback from them. I mean,
okay, perfect. Again, I really appreciate that.
I feel, and if there's,
well, we would still need to authorize you to make the decision, but before you made it, you would informally consult us, right?
Yeah.
That's how that would work.
If like Athena or someone from the Y presented, this is our first choice, and this is, this is the main color, this is the trim color, the accent color, whatever. It did a schematic, and presented it like our first choice and our second choice. We could go on that, I think.
And actually, we do have a historical, a restoration specialist, Paul Mitchell. He's out of Winstead, Connecticut, and Bill knows him well. We've all worked together quite closely to make this plan. And so Paul would also be directly involved with these choices. He plans to use a high quality historical paint so that we have a nice job that lasts a long time. And through me or Paul directly, Suzanne and Julie, you'll hear about, we could do exactly that, choose the colors, and he can give you the specs on what the paint quality and product is.
But you think all of that'll be picked and need to go before our next meeting?
Hayes, I hope so, because I think time is running out for the YWCA to bring itself about again. As you probably know, historically, it was a robust, vital building. In the last decade, let's say, our programming has been, reduced greatly, and we have a nice opportunity to turn it around and bring it sort of back. So it may not happen before June 2nd, I think is your next meeting. But if it does, I'd love to get it in to go and not have you take any more of your time. So whatever's easier for you.
So do I hear a motion to declare any exterior repainting job of 209 Clinton Avenue a type 2 action under seeker? So moved by Dean Barnes right here, second.
Second.
Second by Kevin McAvoy. That motion's on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it on that. Do I hear a motion to authorize Sue Cahill and the planning department on an emergency basis to approve a paint color scheme for 209 Clinton Avenue with input individually from members of the Heritage Area Commission ahead of our June 2021 meeting if necessary?
So moved.
Michael Belfiore moves it. And do I have a second? Second by Dean Barnes. That motion is on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Okay, great. Good luck with it all.
Thank
Sorry.
you guys so much. And thank you, Bill, for being here and everybody who's gathering resources to get this thing going again. Thanks so much.
Good luck.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Suzanne and Julie. By the way, you'll be hearing from me. Take
Okay.
care. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, we have to go back to 199 Greenkill Avenue.
All right, hold on. All right, next item of business is 199 Greenkill Avenue. A proposal to replace the existing front porch parapet with new higher baluster and handrails and a leveling of the porch floor and new lattice work. Tim Charest, applicant and owner. Are you here, Tim?
He is not.
Can we approve it without a person presenting it?
You can if you're comfortable, unless you have questions that we need answers to.
It looks pretty clear. I mean, from what I'm looking at by removal, it's what I was talking about before, getting rid of the clapboard siding and opening up the front porch. It looks better from these watercolor sketches or whatever they may be.
Right.
I mean, it seems clear, but I don't know if people have other questions. I'd approve this as is. I mean, are you familiar with it, Sue?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I like opening it up. I think it makes a big difference on the front facade and just cleaning up, the whole exterior on the bottom, I think is going to make a big improvement as well. And a new paint job certainly will brighten it up.
But it looks like it's sort of a two-tone thing. It's going to be green outside,
White.
kind of orange in the porch.
No, the paint's colors are going to be white and light gray.
I think somebody just got a little overzealous with the watercolor painting in here,
Yeah.
but I get the idea. It looks like the lattice is cleaned up below and the porch is leveled and
Decorative
they've
on the
opened it up nicely.
Yeah.
Okay, do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under seeker?
Motion.
Kevin makes a motion.
I'll second.
Barnes makes second. That motion's on the floor for debate. Any? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to approve the replacement of the existing front porch parapet with higher baluster and handrails and the leveling of the porch floor and new lattice work with a new paint scheme of white and gray at 199 Greenkill Avenue as presented.
So moved. Mike.
So by Michael Del Priore, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin McAvoy. Motion's on the floor. Any further debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
All right. Anything else?
I have nothing else.
Then our next meeting is June 3rd.
June 2nd, 3rd, June
June
3rd.
June 3rd. Okay. We'll see you then. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
By Kevin McAvoy, second by Dean. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Dean Barnes.
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Michael Del Priore.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Night.
I'll see you tomorrow because we're still recording. I will see you tomorrow.